Welcome to the revolution. They knocked on his parents' door, and I guess the mom answered. She said she didn't want to talk to him. So then the father came out and asked them to leave. They respectfully said okay. They walked away. They did not push any further, but they wanted to at least see if they could get a comment. Okay, now when they did that, they actually got a man from across the street who declined being on camera, but they showed a little bit of him during this conversation, and they interviewed this individual. Now, I'm not going to show this direct interview, but it had some key highlighted points. It was fairly long, but the key points to me were that this individual said that he was like the town dad, right? This shooter lived in a trailer park in Uvalde, Texas. This guy said that, I had all the kids come over. He had a pool table downstairs. They all like to play video games. He said they didn't really see anything off about this individual. It had been a couple years since he had been over there. But what he felt was that, there was some key points that he had regarding the parents in this situation. Okay. So they interviewed this guy who was across the street from where the mom lived of the shooter. And what he said was that, first of all, he had no expenses, right? There's all this talk around where did he get all the ammo? Where did he get the Daniel Defense M4? Where did he get the other, rifle? Where did he get all this conversation surrounding the financial aspects of it? And he said he had no bills. I guess I saw a few times that the guy worked at Wendy's. I don't see anywhere that that's been substantiated. But I think it's interesting. So he said he didn't think he had any bills. Now, the individual, the shooter in this case, lived with his grandma. Okay. The mom, according to this guy who lived across the street from her, was, according to him, hooked on what he called ice, which is methamphetamines. And so her boyfriend got her hooked on meth, and it was a horrible situation, and they got in all sorts of arguments. And so after a while, he ended up moving in with his grandma. Okay. Now what I think was the key point from that interview was actually that he said that the grandma owned the trailer that the mom lived in of the shooter, okay? Owned the trailer, the grandma did. Now, he went to live with the grandma. The grandma, if you recall the actual facts of the situation, ended up being the first victim of his shooting spree. And so now, the key point that I want to take from that interview was that he said that 2 days prior to this individual going and shooting this school up in Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, 2 days prior, the grandma was trying to evict his mother from their trailer because she was trying to sell it. Now, the mother's response specifically was that she was going to burn them, according to this man, burn the motherfucker down before she'd let her get evicted. Okay. So apparently there was a very heated exchange between the mother, about her getting evicted from the trailer that she owned, the grandma owned. Okay. Now, if you want to talk about a motive, I've seen enough Law and Order to know that's a potential motive, right? That's a heated exchange between somebody that he feels dearly about. So I think that's really important. Now, an even more interesting point about that is the fact that the police never even interviewed this man. Never interviewed this man once. He said he even went up to them and talked to them, and not a single person came up to him. He came out there and found Real News No Bullshit over by the trailer and hey, you guys want to come talk to me? So he sought them out. It wasn't that hard. Okay. So, interesting point that the police have yet to interview this man. A man who lives right across the street, who has the potential idea of what the motive was in this situation. You think that might be an interesting individual for these police officers, the FBI, whoever the hell is on this case. I'm sure Scooby-Doo and all his friends are there too. You think that this man would be a person of interest for them to interview, especially if he knows something about what was happening, about the lives, about the mom's drug addictions, about the relationship between the grandma and the mother, about, so many intricate parts of this relationship. He literally had a front row seat to this house and everything that happened there. Okay, so why is the police not interviewing this man? Why are they not talking to somebody who claims that 2 days prior there was a huge altercation at this house? Why? Why are they not talking to this man? Okay, so I think that's interesting. Now, the next thing that they discussed, or the next part of their story, which I'll play some of it here for you. I kind of want to get away from playing too many longer clips for you guys. So I'm going to try in my best to tell these stories for you. Now, the next individual that they interviewed, and again, this is real news, no bullshit, on Instagram. Tremendous journalism. The next person that they interviewed was a Border Patrol agent who drove 85 miles from 85 miles away at like 150 miles per hour. He doesn't say how fast he's going. They go like 100. He's like, yeah, faster than that. 85 miles. This man got there in 40 minutes. Somebody out there is much better at math than me, and you guys can do the math. But 85 miles in about 40 minutes. And he said that he got there, and I'll play a little bit of this clip here. I think maybe we'll touch on this. But basically what this man says is that he got there. He was curious. As soon as he got there, it took him 45 minutes to get there. They radioed in. It was 45 minutes. This man hauls ass 85 miles away from the border, lets go of 4 illegal immigrants so that he can go handle this situation, gets there, and the shooter's still not taken care of, right? They're sitting outside, he said. Now, this is an important key point because there's been a lot of back and forth here when it comes to were they outside, were they inside, and we're going to dive deeper into those conversations, but I think it's important to note that this Border Patrol agent said that he got there and they weren't in there. They still hadn't shot him. He was still in there. They retreated, according to this man. They went in initially, they received fire, and then they retreated, right? No injuries, no police are dead. At least from my knowledge, I don't believe any police died. If they did, that's horrific too. But it tells me something that he was on scene at the time. He was there. And he says they went in and then they went out. They left the area. You know, the area that was being shot up by a single individual while there's 18, 20, however many guys sitting out there with their rifles, ready and able, and obviously not willing, but ready and able to be able to go in there. Was it a breakdown in the chain of command? Was it a retreat because they weren't tactically ready? Was it? I don't know. But what I do know is that it should not take that long to get into a building.